So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Eric Johnson. You may recognize him from Smallville, Flash Gordon, The Nick, and we're really excited to see him very soon in 50 Shades Darker. So let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you. I've also thrown axes, and it was one of the greatest 3 hours of my life. So I can't recommend it enough. It is fantastically amazing.
It's one of those things
It's
too
very
where-
satisfying.
Yeah, and the people that you wouldn't expect to be good at it are like
Really,
unreal.
really good at
Yeah.
it. Yeah, amazing at it. Yeah, it's honestly, there hasn't been a day I think since I've done it that I haven't thought about it and wanted to go throw axes somewhere. It's like the greatest game of darts. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, it was awesome. So go throw axes safely. Safely-ish.
All right, so I guess we'll get started with a question about, well, I mean, all of us Canadians love fangirling over other Canadian actors. So what's it like being a Canadian actor in Hollywood?
There's a lot of us. So it never fails. I'll be at a party in LA and we'll end up talking to somebody and, we won't know where we're from and we'll get chatting and it turns out, like, well, where are you from? And they'll be like, oh, Calgary. Or just outside it, or some small town in Ontario. And so the Canadians sort of find each other. There's a lot of us down there, so it's interesting. I always feel very lucky, though. Canada's been such a great place for me. I always know it's here. I feel very safe when I'm away because I know I can come back here and have a job and have my career here. And so it gives me a lot of confidence when I'm down there, knowing that I have an industry here that's so supportive of my career thus far. So yeah, I'm very thankful for it.
That's awesome. So with your most recent project, I guess, what's it like joining such a buzzworthy franchise and finding your place in that?
I'm not gonna lie. At first, it was a little intimidating. I've been on TV and performing my whole life, and since I was a kid, even Smallville, which was like a big deal, and we didn't have social media in that way then, so there wasn't Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat. While it was a big show and in the Superman world, it didn't have the same sort of immediacy that this does. Like, it was very instantaneous. It got announced and like suddenly I have all these Brazilian fans tweeting me, and I don't know what they were saying because I don't know Portuguese, but I think they were happy, which is what I'm hoping. So it's been a little interesting. It's a big international franchise. So we'll see what, if anything, is different in February when it comes out. But so far, everybody's been incredibly gracious and kind and welcoming, and even though I'm playing the bad guy, they've been very nice. Maybe that'll change in February after they see me not be so nice.
Yes, I feel like that might
change.
shift.
That might change.
You'll have your fans though, vocal online. So we'll start with a Twitter question from there, since we're talking about
Sure.
Twitter.
Is it Portuguese?
It isn't, but I had to go through a few of those. I was
Okay.
like, I'm not going to translate those. So the funnest thing about filming 50 Shades Darker?
The funnest thing, trying to think of what I could say that's not spoilers. I had this, honestly, okay, this is going to sound really weird. One of the funnest things was a gift that was given to me, and it was a pair of space pants. It was pants with like a galaxy on them, and they're amazing. And they're
you didn't wear them today?
I thought about it. They are amazing. They are some of my favorite pants I've ever owned, if not my favorite pair of pants. And I love them, and they're a big hit on my Instagram. And people go like, "Where are your space pants? Why aren't you wearing your space pants?" And it all came from an SNL skit that Peter Dinklage had done with Gwen Stefani, where he was wearing space pants, and it was a running joke on set, and I would wear them to work and in the hair and makeup trailer, and everybody looked at me like I was crazy, but I was happy in my space pants.
See, this is
Have you seen my space pants? No, I think you missed them. Painted on my space pants the entire solar system. It was just, we went on and on and on and on and on, and it was awesome. Now everybody should have space pants, because then your butt is out of this world. Sorry.
Had to do it.
Yeah.
So, do you have, I guess, going back to all of the projects you've worked on, do you have a favorite line or a favorite moment that stands out to you?
I have a favorite line, and it's from something that no one's ever seen. There was, okay, two. When I was 14, I did a mini series for CBS, and I had one line. And it was with Christopher Reeve, so going back to a Superman connection, and it was a Western, so it's like Old West. And I had one line, I played the teen militiaman. That was like my official title. And the line was, I yelled it at Christopher Reeve and Tony Todd, who were riding up to the fort, and I said, "You fellas coming or waiting for a Comanche haircut?" And it's one of the coolest lines I've ever said, and I got to yell it at Superman. So at 14, that was pretty cool. And then there was a problem that day that we shot, and so I actually had to come back and do it again. And so I got to say the line twice to Christopher Reeve. It was pretty great.
Who would have thought that later on you'd be having those Superman connections in your career? That's
Yes,
pretty cool.
yes, it was. That was a lot of fun, you know. And then the other one, I would have been about, I think, 15 or 16, and I lived in Edmonton, and we were doing a. I guess it would be like a thing that you would see in school about sexual harassment and why it's bad and what not to do and what not to say. And of course, I played the bad guy, and so I was the sexual harasser in the hallway. And the line was, "Honk if you love Heather's Hooters." And it was the alliteration. And then my friends caught wind of that in high school, and they bugged me mercilessly for that. And I didn't honk. I was very respectful. There was no honking. It was a line written for me, but that was a ridiculous line I also said. That's a pretty good one.
Slightly more ridiculous than the first.
Yeah.
So, we all remember your role in Smallville. If you could have one superpower, what would that superpower be?
That's a tough question. I don't know. I always, like, whenever I say fly, people seem really disappointed because that's like a cliche thing. I know it's pretty cliche. What's the poll in the room? Like, what would how many people would want to fly as their superpower? Okay. And then how many people would be like, invisibility? Oh yeah, well look at that. See?
Flying.
Yeah, flying. What if you could fly and be invisible? That'd be pretty awesome. Maybe that would be invisible flying. Maybe I just want to be Wonder Woman's jet, so I could fly invisibly and just get around. Maybe that would be it. I think so, maybe.
That's amazing. So we talked a bit, or you've mentioned a bit how you've played some villains, even back to your early days. What attracts you to these types of roles? It seems
I don't think it's me attracted to the roles. I think those are the jobs I just get. Like, people look at me. I had a producer, I was talking to him, and I'm like, I don't know, I play these bad guys all the time. He says, yeah, because when we look at your photo, Eric, we just like, wow, I hate that guy. And I'm like, is that a weird way of complimenting me, or what? I'll take it. I guess I'm working. I've got a niche. I just got a face people want to punch. I'm the bad guy. I've like played like I grew up in a really blue collar family, sort of like, you know, lower middle class, working class family in Edmonton, and I seemed to play rich a-holes constantly, or like the all-American quarterback guy, and I'm like, I barely made the football team, and it was because there was nobody on the football team, and we like, I went to an art high school, and so like there was like not enough people for the football team. So everybody, if you wanted to, you were on the football team. Like that's my athleticism. I guess I look like I could be one of Trump's kids or something like that. It's awful. I'm not saying I want to be. I'm not choosing this. This is like.
They didn't choose it either.
What are the, it's I guess I'm basically becoming like the face of white privilege. This is my job now. It's I'm the bad guy. It's good. I got a niche. I'm going for it.
So I guess it'd be quite interesting trying to get into those roles where you're such a, well, different from, I assume, unless you're actually the worst person, but you seem quite nice.
I could be the worst person. There's a chance. No, it is. It's. I will say the thing that's really surprised me is, the role, the character I played on the show that I did called the Nick was, incredibly racist, and it was like, I don't understand this, and I have to sort of figure this out and figure out why and what was the human, like where he was as a human, and figure this out and why people feel this way, and for that character he felt threatened. He was threatened in his position at the hospital, and he was losing something that he cared about, and he was not open to, he believed in his own superiority, and then came up short and failed. So there was also embarrassment there, and it forced me to have to look at people that I normally would want to write off or be very have a very definite opinion of, and understand that there's a story there, and everybody's a person, and I may not agree with what they're saying, and I may not agree with what they do, and I may find their actions abhorrent, but I'm not saying there's a reason behind everything, but there's a human there, and there's a way in to connect to that person. And so it actually, having to figure out these bad guys it's forced me to become a more empathetic person in my own life, which is it's been a weird sort of after effect of all that. It forces you to develop into parts of humanity that I think we'd all like to avoid and not think about, or think about why people do the things that they do. It's easier just to hate them and say you're a bad guy and you're evil, but they're people, and so it's been interesting. It's been interesting. The worse the person, the harder the job is, and the grosser I feel at the end of the day. I mean, even in these 50 Shades movie, I'm not a good guy, of course, and I had to do like horrible things, and I just the cameras would stop rolling, and I just feel bad. Like whether it's like the yelling or abusive, it's just like, ugh, this is awful. How do people do this? It's just terrible. I feel terrible inside. So I needed showers when I went home. Just sat there rocking myself and cleanse it away.
Yeah, that must be interesting going from that to like home, like, oh, what's for supper?
Yeah, exactly.
I feel terrible.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah. There was on the show the Nick, there was a scene where my daughter was dying from a disease I infected her with accidentally. And so it was like super intense and hard, and my daughter was actually with me at work that day. So it was like, she couldn't come to set because it's like way too graphic and scary. But we'd shoot these takes where my daughter's in the show is dying, and then I'd have to go upstairs and go like, hey honey, what you coloring? That looks great. Oh, it's super cool. You're watching a movie. It's awesome. I gotta go back down to work and like come back upstairs like everything's totally normal. It's a weird job.
I guess you really know or have access to those emotions when you pop up and see your actual daughter.
Yeah. I'm not saying it hurt. It was a weird day.
So, do you prefer acting as the good guy or the bad guy more? Have you played the good guy?
A few times. When I did the show Flash Gordon, I was the good guy, but then that got canceled, so I think that tells you what people thought of my good guy. So the bad guys are interesting. There's, again, because of the thought process and having to figure out why people do terrible things. Is an interesting challenge, and making them human and not just seem like this arch villain, like actually make them seem human, because I think, the better the villain, the better the hero looks, and the more believable it can be. So that's fun, but being the good guy is sometimes nice. Like I've done a couple of like Christmas movies, and I'm the nice guy, and I just literally like the guy who wants everybody to have a great Christmas, and that's a nice relief to go to work and just like, you just want people to have a great Christmas, and it's all nice. I actually got to dress up as Santa Claus in one. You're like, I'm like, wow, Santa.
You bring joy to people.
I am Santa right now. And there was a bunch of kids there, and they were looking at me like I'm the greatest thing in the world. I'm like, this is amazing. Being Santa's awesome. Like I would actually like to cosplay as Santa just regularly, because it was honestly the best, as opposed to people like hating me.
We actually had one of our Twitter followers mention your Hallmark Christmas
There you go.
videos or
There you go.
movies, and
Yeah.
that was definitely a mention. So I'm glad you
Yeah.
brought that up. How do your fans react to seeing you as, I guess, the good guy versus, or opposed to the bad guy?
I think a lot of them can't really believe it. They're like, "Oh, you're that guy that we hated on Smallville." That's usually what I get. And I'm always impressed at people's restraint and ability to separate the fantasy and the reality. Because when I was doing Smallville, that was when like the message boards were like a big thing about shows, and like it was like sort of new. And the things that people would say about me, I was like, "Oh my God, people are so mean. I can't believe they're saying these things," and not separating fantasy and reality. But my fans have been very supportive, and nobody's thrown their garbage at me as they walk down the street and recognize me. I went for lunch, and our server, she had seen the Nick, and I just thanked her for not like throwing the coffee on me. I appreciate that. So I'm very lucky. People are very kind and gracious.
That's amazing. So I think we're going to open up to the audience. If anyone has questions, then I'll come out there and we'll pass the mic around. All right, we'll head to the first row here.
Hello again.
Hello.
I'm gonna ask the same question I asked you earlier. What was your favorite experiences working on like Rookie Blue and Smallville?
Smallville was fun. There was a lot of cool things I got to do in that show, and I just turned 22, and we got to do some big stunts, which was really fun, and a lot of night shoots, and I always get really excited about that. It's like a kid who's up past his bedtime, and you get all these lights, and there's like hot chocolate, and it's super fun. But the football sequence in, I think it was the third episode we did, was so much fun because they had the rain towers out. We were out at Swangard Stadium out in Burnaby, BC, and the lights are on. The crowd is there, and they got rain towers out there, and I'm the quarterback. Like, this is the fantasy. I mean, I think I mentioned I was terrible at football, but in this moment, I was the guy, and it was so much fun. They had some players there from the BC Lions that were helping us out, and so it was just super fun. That was an amazing night, and that was a lot of fun. Another one was my truck got flipped over, and I was actually in the truck upside down as they were dragging it down the road, and it was like, this is cool, and it's kind of scary and dangerous, but also really cool. So that was fun. Rookie Blue is interesting. I didn't get into too much action stuff. I think some of the best parts of Rookie Blue were the cast and laughing on set and getting in trouble for it. The actor Matt Gordon is one of the funniest people I've ever met, and he can be very distracting to work with because you're just having so much fun. So there's a lot of little things like that, like little bits of laughing, and I actually really enjoyed like the mini police training we did. That was some other kid fantasy of being a police officer and getting the proper training. I think I was taking it way too seriously too, and I think there's a video of it, and I'm like really into it. All the other cats are like having fun and kind of joking around. I'm like, no, I'm a cop. I'm into this. I need to know, so I'm gonna do this right. And was a little too serious, but yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, because when I saw you so much in Smallville, and then all of a sudden you popped up from Rookie Blue, and I was like, I know this guy, and I'm like, crap, that's Whitney.
You get to hate me on 2 shows now. It's great.
No, I liked you on both actually.
See, you like the bad guy. There you go.
Bad guys are more fun.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, so there we go. So I've done acting, and I also do LARPing on the side, and so I've done roles where I'm playing bad characters. What I'm wondering is, how do you said you really enjoy getting into their headspace and portraying them as being more human. How do you get into that headspace? What's your style, technique, I guess?
I think it depends, but the biggest. I think people react out of an emotional place. Whether they're whatever situation it's even if they're covering up an emotional reaction, that's where it's
it's coming from, and that can be very primal in a lot of ways. Like you feel hurt or you feel embarrassed, or those can be really powerful motivators for people to do awful things, or even if it's not necessarily in the script, of like, well, what would have had to happen to this person in their life for them to think this is an okay reaction to what they're doing, or an okay way of operating. And I think that's where I go to, is like, it's just the why. It's not so much what they're saying or what they're doing, but why are they doing it? And if it doesn't make sense, and sometimes in the scripts it doesn't, because you don't get all the information. It's just sort of creating that background of emotion, not necessarily a specific story of what happened to them, but just understanding like why they would react that way emotionally. Whether it's in reaction to something that happened previously in their life, or you know what I mean. It's more psychological in that way, as opposed to like for fact wise. It's definitely coming from an emotional place.
So you almost have to, if you don't get the full story, you almost have to make it up in your own head just to reason it out.
Yeah, just to make it make sense in a lot of ways, because like even you be looking at a bad guy who's doing horrible things, and I'm like, well, why are they doing this? Clearly, it's not even in their own best interest. But there has to be a reason. People, I don't think anybody really does anything without a reason. And the other thing is, like, bad guys don't think they're the bad guys. They're the hero of their story, and so they have to feel that what they're doing is righteous in a lot of ways. The greatest villains of humankind have all thought they were incredibly right. And so it's figuring out why they feel they're right, or they feel they've been wronged, that they believe what they're doing is acceptable. Whether it's Darth Vader or Hitler, it's like they believe what they're doing is right. So it's figuring out what their truth is. Okay. And playing bad guys is be totally fun, because you also get like the best clothes and the best weapons, and usually a really cool car.
All right, do we have
That's
any more
awesome.
questions from the audience?
What are your hobbies like outside of work and your niche and stuff?
My hobbies, I love to cook. Actually, I love to cook. Cooking is I'd say my second passion. If I wasn't in acting, I'd probably be doing something in that line. It's I think one of the things about my job that can be frustrating is that I love doing it. I love acting and performing, and unlike a painter or even a photographer or something like that, it's like I have to ask permission to go and do it. It's like getting a job in a production is, there's hundreds of people employed. It's a big thing, and a lot of people want to be in it, and so I'm constantly asking for a job. But cooking, I can just do whatever the hell I want, and it's like an immediate creative release. Like I can think of something, I can make it, I can give it to people, and we can eat it, and then it's done. And I don't have to audition for it, wait to see if I get the job, shoot the job, and then wait a year for it to come out. So it's like an instantaneous creative release for me. So it's when I'm most stressed, I tend to do a lot of cooking.
What's your favorite thing to cook?
What's my favorite thing? I like doing as many different things as possible, but one of my daughter's favorite things is my bolognese sauce. She loves that, and she says it like she's Italian for some reason. I'm not sure why. It's kind of annoying, but she's really into that. But yeah, I love, and then the favorite at our house is my pizza. So I guess Italian for some reason. I don't know why, but yeah, those are big hits in our house. And like music and just anything else, and writing and anything else in this industry. I love the whole thing. I'm a bit of a nerd that way. I live a very myopic life where I love film and television, and I've been involved in it since I think the first thing I ever did, I was 11.
11?
And so it's literally the only thing I've ever done, and I'm still a total nerd for it. And so I realized I don't really have a very interesting life, because this is kind of all I think about, and I don't know a lot about a lot of other things. I need to expand my horizons, go to more galleries, go to more museums. because we're in New Zealand.
All right. Oh, we have questions.
So you just said that you're like a huge nerd for movies and TV and stuff like that. What would be your publicly favorite movie and then your like shamefully secret favorite movie?
A shamefully secret favorite movie. I don't know. I don't know if it's really shameful. I mean, there's movies that I've seen many, many, many times. This is gonna date me. This was a movie that I loved as a kid that I'm afraid to see again because I'm assuming it's terrible. But it was called Monster Squad. Do you remember that movie? This is going back, but I loved that movie so much, and I don't want to see it because I ruined the never-ending story for myself by going back and watching it, and I went, oh yeah, that was really great when I was 7, but not so much anymore. A movie that I saw this year, which blew me away, and I loved, was Arrival. I thought it was beautiful. It's an incredible sci-fi movie. To me, it's like right up there with movies like Contact and all that. It's like a brilliant piece of sci-fi.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Were there any jobs that you kind of auditioned for and kind of
Didn't get?
or wished
That's
you
a
got?
very long list.
That or at least maybe you've turned down and you're like, crap, I should have taken that job.
I don't think there's a job that I've turned down that I've regretted later. There's ones that I wish I would have got. I can remember auditioning for Star Wars, like to be like Anakin Skywalker.
4 o'clock downstairs in the classroom. We have a workshop. Cosplay is not consent. Come and
Cosplay is not consent.
Anyone who's interested in cosplay, you should show up to this event at 4 o'clock in the classroom. Follow that, 5 o'clock in the classroom, we have our Jedi school. For the young and the old, come to the Jedi school at 5 o'clock. Again, welcome everybody to TriCon 2017.
Speaking of Jedis, I auditioned for Star Wars to be the new, like the young Anakin Skywalker. And I got 2 cracks at it, and I think I totally blew both. Like, just was terrible. Terrible. One day I had a cold and my voice sounded like this. I'm like, well, maybe I'll sound like Darth Vader. Maybe this is a good thing. But that was a big one. That was one of the. That was a big one. One of the first auditions I ever had was actually to be in the movie Unforgiven, Clint Eastwood's film, and to play his son. And it's just like a tiny part right at the beginning of the movie. And I remember really, really, really wanting that. And didn't get it because apparently at the time I didn't look like I was starving, and I would agree I did not. That was the first time that I got to see something that I'd gone up for that was then on the big screen and be incredibly jealous, and it wasn't a fun feeling. But yeah, those 2 stand out.
Sorry, one more quick one. Who were the actors that you kind of looked up to when you first either got into the business or later as you grew up?
There's been a lot of people that have inspired me, and not necessarily in names that would be necessarily recognizable, but they were people who influenced me. I started in theater, and there was some actors there that really took their time and showed me what it takes and what it means to be a professional. There's a First Nations actor in this country who's since passed away, Gordon Datusis, that I worked with on the film Legends of the Fall, and he was amazing to me, and he was such a kind human being and a true professional in so many ways, and I looked up to him a lot. I mean, we spent like 3 weeks together on that, and I'm like a 14-year-old kid running around the woods, and it was. Yeah, that was inspiring. But when I first got into this and I thought about what I wanted to do, in the industry, I looked at it was Kevin Costner actually that I looked at, and he had just done I'd just seen Dances with Wolves. I think it was 11 or 12 years old, and I'm like, this is what I want to do. I want to be that guy. I want to direct a movie like that. I want to do something like this. I want to do a story that is impactful and it matters. And yeah, I think that, you know, early on there was those people that helped keep my head on straight and not and realize that I was doing a job but as part of a team. Like, yeah, I think that's the thing that kind of gets lost. Like, we as the actors get to be the face of things and go out and talk about it, and you get a lot of attention and accolades, but it's so many people working to help make that happen. And I think certain times some actors, they lose perspective of that, and they think it's all about them, and I had good people early on that helped keep me very grounded, and I think one of the things I love the most about the industry and this job is that it's collaborative and it's teamwork, and it's like being part of a team, and when it works together and when there's great teamwork, it's an incredible feeling and it's a lot of fun. When it's not so much, it can be a little painful, but it's yeah, I think those people early on really helped steer my career and keep my head on straight.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. I think we're going to wrap it up now. Eric will not be going down to the second floor, so if anyone wants to get autographs or photos, then we can do that quickly.
We can talk about throwing axes.
Yeah, I mean, there you go. That's your touch point right there. So thank you so much for sharing your experiences with us and coming out to KW, and I'm glad you came to the museum.
Thanks for having me, guys. Thanks for your questions. Cheers.
And thanks to all of you guys. I hope everyone has a great day and enjoy your time here.